but take it they do, so the ends of society may be met. The ends to be met are to better secure their peace and quiet, and to see that the lives, liberties, and fortunes of all citizens, under stated rules or law, might be better protected. In the words of Mr. Locke, he said, "It cannot be supposed that they should intend, had they a power so to do, to give anyone, or more, an absolute arbitrary power over the persons and estates, and to put a force into the magistrate's hand to execute his unlimited will arbitrarily upon them. This were to put themselves into a worse condition than the state of nature, wherein they had a liberty to defend their right against injuries of others, and were upon equal terms of force to maintain it, whether invaded by a single man or by many. Whereas, by supposing they have given up themselves to the absolute arbitrary power and will of a legislator, they have disarmed themselves, and armed him to make a prey of them when he pleases." And I think Thomas Jefferson agreed with this sentiment when he said, "It has been said that our governments, both federal and particular, want energy. That is, it is difficult to restrain both individuals and states from committing wrong. This is true, and it is an inconvenience. On the other hand, that energy which absolute governments derive from an armed force, which is the effect of the bayonet constantly held at the breast of every citizen, and which resembles very much the stillness of the grave, must be admitted also to have its inconveniences. We weigh the two together and like best to submit to the former. Compare the number of wrongs committed with impunity by citizens among us with those committed by the sovereigns of other countries, and the last will be found most numerous, most oppressive on the mind, and most degrading to the dignity of man." So when we talk about the proper role of government, it seems to always be centered on the concerns of too much government or too little government. And I don't think anyone in here believes that we don't have enough government. Unless by that you mean we don't have enough government doing what it's supposed to be doing, namely defending our life, liberty, and property. Because the Constitution of our founders crafted was designed in such a way as to defend us against the few who would take away the rights of the many, or the many who would take away the rights of the few. I believe we were given this Republican form of government to secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity, to establish justice, to ensure domestic tranquility, to provide for the common defense, and to promote the general welfare. And this, I believe, is the proper role of government, and elected or not, I will fight to see that the citizens of this state and country continue to be protected from the oppression imposed upon men and women by the imbalance of power in such a form of government, and those held accountable who willfully or negligently cause such an imbalance to exist. It is the only assurance, aside from the help of God, that we will continue to exist as a free people. And I want to read one more quote from Thomas Jefferson that I find really inspiring and really to be a truth. "With all our blessings, what more is necessary to make us a happy and prosperous people? Still one thing more, fellow citizens, a wise and frugal government, which shall restrain men from injuring one another, shall leave them otherwise free to regulate their own pursuits of industry and improvement, and shall not take from the mouth of labor the bread they deserve. This is the sum of good government, and this is necessary to close the circle of our felicities." And
thank you, Gary. We appreciate that. Next on the agenda will be I'm going to be asking each one of the panelists is a list of 8 questions that we have filtered through to present to them this evening. They'll each have 1 to 2 minutes to give a response. What I would like to do is ask the panelists that if you happen to agree with the response that one of the other panelists happen to give, to kind of keep it short so we can get to the question and answer period. You might want to just say, I'm not going to want to prevent you from answering, but if you do agree, just say I agree with whoever, and that'll help us speed it up just a little bit. But we do want to allow you time, 1 to 2 minutes, to answer each one of these questions. I'm going to start over at the far end of the table at Representative Wright's side, and I'll just work my way towards me. And the first question is, Representative Wright, what power do we the people have under the Constitution?
Well, thank you. I believe that I touched on this a little bit in the presentation, and that is that I believe all the power and authority delegated authority rests with the citizens. And then the question then comes, well, how come we're in the fix that we're in? Well, because not enough of these meetings have been taking place. And informed citizenry is the best defense against tyranny. Informed about what your role is, about what the constitutional delineation of your role is, and you being informed and being vigilant in regards to those people who are elected at all various levels to serve you. So I commend those that have put this meeting together and applaud your attendance here tonight and your enthusiastic desire to embrace your civic responsibility to do your part to restore, and I believe we're only one election away from restoring what the Constitution provides for us to have. I think we're just one election away from it. So we're no more than 6 years away from having the type of country that we'd like to have. What's it going to take? Across the country, people being ignited with the fire of liberty in their heart and a desire to see that which they know to be right, according to the Constitution, manifest in their governance, and supporting the men and women that reflect that perspective.
Thank you. Senator Brogdon, same question. What power do we the people have under the Constitution?
This is the one thing that I have spent a great deal of my time over the last year and a half traveling around, not only in my district, but to other states, giving talks and speeches on our freedom and liberty and sovereignty. And the one point that I always try and make in my talks is the fact that we, the people, hold all the power. You see, government is here to serve us. We work for you. You know, James Garfield said that if we find our Congress corrupt and immoral, it's because we, the people, tolerate corruption and immorality. You have the power as individual citizens. If you don't like what Congress is doing, if you don't like what the legislature is doing, then all the power is vested in you by God to you to run the government. And I'm encouraged as well when I see young fellas like this coming up behind us. We're not going to be there much longer. And I can assure you his opponent doesn't understand what he just got through talking about. If he understands it, he certainly doesn't believe it.
Thank you, Senator Brogdon. Gary Casey, what power do we the people have?
I agree with Randy. I think that the main power and the focus of our power should be we give legitimacy to our government through our consent for them to represent us. And we can take away that legitimacy as well and replace it with somebody else. And I think that is a truly great power, and I think that's a power we should wield more often.
I don't know how to say it much better other than just try to emphasize that it is one thing, and that's you elect your representatives. And that's all the power you have. And of course we complain along with me at times that we don't like our choices. But the reason we have the choices that we have is because we don't support and get the people out there that believe the way we believe. We don't spend the time to find out where they're at, who they are. And we're too susceptible. Again, I'll cast my lot here for 30 years. Lazy, let somebody spend their money and tickle my ears and tell me who believes what and so on and so forth. And of course later on I find out it's wrong. So there's responsibility with the power we have. And quite frankly, we're not doing a very good job of exercising it. But it's there. And you saw some people left out of office. It still happens. So we have to really grasp a hold of the fact. We need to do the work. We need to educate ourselves. And all that money out there doesn't change anybody's mind once you've done your own homework. Doesn't change my mind.
Representative Wright, how much accountability does our government owe to its people?
You know, perhaps in order to be fair, I'll let Senator Brogdon go first on this one, and then I'll go last. How about that?